closed.
All clear above behind?
All clear.
The violent air turbulence in the mountain ranges of southwestern Alberta presented a hazard to the fledgling Trans-Canada Airlines. In the mid-30s, they built an emergency landing site not far from the town of Cowley. With the advent of jet engines and pressurized cabins, high-altitude flights were possible, and the airfield was abandoned. For a short time, the Alberta Department of Lands and Forests used the field as a landing site for the water bombers which fought forest fires in the Crow's Nest Pass area. Now, a new use has been found for the mountain and the winds. Since the mid-60s, every Thanksgiving weekend, soaring enthusiasts from across Western Canada come to the Livingston Mountain Range to ride the mountain wave. The Alberta Soaring Council operates the Cowley Wave Camp. Whenever the camp is functioning, glider pilots are allowed by the Ministry of Transport to soar to a maximum of 8,840 meters, 29,000 feet, in a specified area. Beyond that height, each pilot must radio Calgary Air Traffic Control for permission. For some, it's like old home week. For those new to the sport, it could be the thrill of a lifetime. The gliders are assembled with routine precision. Periodically, the pilots scan the western sky for the telltale signs that the wave is working. The gliders are securely tied down for the night to protect them against the unpredictable surface winds that sweep across the Cowley Valley. Looking from these pine-studded mounds called the Porcupine Hills, the Cowley Valley spreads toward the Rocky Mountain foothills and the Livingston Range, 17.5 kilometers or 11 miles away. From the mountains, the Porcupine Hills appear a long way off. The Cowley Airfield nestles near the base of these hills. The wave occurs when strong westerly winds pour over the mountain face and bounce skyward in a series of undulating waves. When there is sufficient moisture in the atmosphere, lens-shaped lenticular clouds appear. Swirling rotor clouds develop under the base of the waves.
Morning, Rob.
Morning, Lugger.
Good to see you woke up.
I'm not too sure I woke up yet.
Breakfast time presents an opportunity for the novices to seek advice from those who have ridden the mountain waves before.
Over that intermediate ridge, there's not too much between there and the main ridge. Although it's better than what you're used to.
Yeah. You mean east of it or west of it?
Well, in between the intermediate ridge and the Livingston.
Yeah. Yeah, there looks like there's some pretty messy stuff over by that creek.
The problem is there are rock outcroppings in some of those fields that look clean.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a drag right now.
You know, you think you're coming into something that's really pretty.
Well, it looks like it's starting.
Yes, pretty good. What kind of gloves do you have?
They're down-filled. They should be okay.
Glider pilots must prepare themselves physically and mentally to ride the mountain waves.
Can you get any indication of how rough the rotor is from the rotor cloud?
Oh yeah, the air is really moist. It's quite a rotor cloud. And when it's really active, you can actually see the clouds turning.
Andrew Jackson moved from England 3 years ago. A year later, he joined the Edmonton Soaring Club and began his glider training.
If it gets too rough, I can always get out and leave you to fly it.
He's going to the wave for the first time. Dave Lacey is an instructor and a 4-year veteran of the Cowley Wave Camp. He'll accompany Andrew on his maiden flight. Bruce Hay of the Calgary Club established a new Canadian altitude record of 10,485 meters or 34,400 feet on October 31st, 1981. This was officially recorded on this barograph.
The barograph is simply a pressure recording device which records the altitude on a continuously moving strip of paper. That barograph is sealed by an official observer on the ground, and after you've returned from your flight, the barograph, still in its sealed condition, has to be turned over to the official observer.
A bit further. Oh, that's good.
Oxygen is essential. Kevin Bennett of the Calgary Club fills his onboard tanks.
There, that's got her. We're ready.
Got her? Okay. Here comes number one.
Although most pilots will be going for a record, Kevin is one of the keenest.
Okay,
Who's next for the oxygen?
Okay, you want the cockpit check?
Yeah. Controls. Instruments, set altimeter, 4,000. Straps, tight and secure.
Yep.
Trim off. Check release. Spoilers in and locked. Canopy closed and locked.
Check your oxygen as well. Okay, I'm set.
Okay.
Okay, we should be off.
Yeah.
Good show. Right now, it's just the wind current.
Is that right?
up here quite a bit. Follow him, Andrew. Maybe get him a little higher on the horizon. Yeah, about there. Okay, he wants to talk. We'll release here. Okay. Stand up. Woo-hoo.
Kevin Bennett started soaring as a teenager with the Ontario Air Cadets. He moved to Calgary in 1980, and this is his second visit to the Cowley Wave Camp. The first time he reached a height of 7,925 meters, 26,000 feet.
All clear?
Everybody asks that question, why do you do it? It's hard to describe, it's exhilarating. I've done a lot of sports and a lot of things, and nothing comes close to what soaring and wave soaring does for me. And it just can't describe it. It's great.
As a youngster, Bruce Hay built model airplanes and watched the hawks soar on a current of warm air over the hot, dry Saskatchewan landscape. He's been coming to the Cowley camp for 16 years.
I doubt I've ever been more challenged in my life than to try and find out what the wave was in the first place, and secondly, how do you find it, and third, how do you get in it and stay in it, and how high can you go? Those are all challenges.
On the first flight, Bruce and Kevin find the wave, but it's weak. They're unable to soar very high. They return to camp. Andrew and Dave have had difficulty in locating the wave and have decided to turn back to the airfield, hoping that they have sufficient height to make a safe landing. Pilots who wait too long could find themselves making an off-field landing in terrain like this. Actually, off-field landings are rare. The only recorded damage has been to the gliders and the pride of the pilots.
Hey, we've got a strong crosswind, so watch that pilot. Hold it off. Good show. Yeah, I've got no problem with you going solo down here. I think you do good.
Well, that was fantastic. If anybody wants the ultimate experience, they should try that. It beats anything I've ever tried before. I'd love to come back next year. Next year I shall bring my own ship and go even higher.
The westerly winds have increased and the rotor clouds are starting to churn. Lenticular clouds are developing as far east as the Porcupine Hills. The rush to fly is on. Like the other pilots, Bruce and Kevin must scramble for their places in the line. It's first come, first served here.
Who is lined up at the moment?
Do you suppose I should go for a while?
She maybe had a lot of time on the ground. I just want to have a look, have a word with him, see how much it costs.
I'm interested in whether he wants to go with Gliderstrip or not. If he does.
Oh, if you want to see it going.
He wanted to go with Gliderstrip.
It's Bruce's turn to fly.
A skilled tow pilot is priceless. He achieves that skill by coming down here and making a few mistakes. And by the time you've made a few mistakes, you start to get a lot better at it, because a mistake while on tow means that you hit a lot of rough air that you'd rather have avoided. So as the tow pilot's knowledge increases, the entry into the wave will become a lot smoother for both tow pilot and glider pilot. The rotor cloud exists in the lower areas of the wave, and one might compare that to, say, the giant surf that you've seen on television programs of Hawaii surf or something like that, and the rotor exists underneath the wave. It's very powerful and quite destructive, and in fact, in the history of aviation, there have been a number of otherwise unexplained aircraft accidents where the tremendous forces of rotor have actually destroyed the aircraft in the air. We're sailing on an ocean of air up here, and if you've been around an ocean very much, there are days when it's like a mill pond, and there are days when you'd rather stay on shore. And it's no different for the glider pilot. Entering the wave is an incredible experience. You can be thumping and bumping along, and all of a sudden everything goes absolutely dead quiet, dead smooth, and you find yourself going up anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 feet a minute. You release from the tow plane, continue on up in that climb, and you just can't believe how incredibly smooth the wave is. It's as if you stood on your surfboard and caught that wave just perfectly. And up you go.
Kevin releases in the primary wave and rises 607 meters, 2,000 feet a minute.
I'm ambitious. It's the best wave generator in the country. There's, 40,000-foot wave here, probably 2 or 3 or 4 times a year. If you're ready, you can make the trip. The potential is definitely there to break the 34,400-foot record. Everybody's trying, so hopefully someday.
There's more to it than meets the eye. At times it worries me that some of our newer pilots may not have all the knowledge they should have of the dangers that lie in wait for them as they go high. Most people fly commercial jets and don't realize that they're air-conditioned, heated, and in splendid comfort at 35,000 feet. But the way we fly, without heat and without pressurization, the temperatures will be as low as minus 55. And that's some cold. You don't stay too long. Probably the greatest problem is the feet. They're encased in the forward part of the fuselage in deep shadow, and it's as if you put your feet into an ice box. And I've seen a number of pilots go limping around for half an hour or more after they've come down from high wave flights trying to restore some circulation.
Along with the extreme cold at high altitudes, there's another danger: hypoxia. The Alberta Soaring Council has made arrangements with the Canadian Forces School of Aeromedical Training in Edmonton to give glider pilots opportunities to experience its effects. This is done by placing the pilots in a steel chamber, which is capable of simulating the effects of reduced air pressure at high altitudes.
Okay, gentlemen, we've now completed our urine sinus check, and everybody inside is okay, and I'll ask the main operator, main op, if you're ready, ascent to 43,000 feet, rate 5.
Starting ascent to 43,000, rate 5. Check 43.
As the altitude increases, the oxygen level remains constant, but the decreased air pressure causes the body to take in less oxygen. Then, while simulating altitudes up to 9,144 meters or 30,000 feet, the pilots are instructed to disconnect their oxygen supply. At the same time, pilots are subjected to a written exercise that distracts them from their immediate awareness of any symptoms.
Okay, just sit there and work away. As I said, it's not a speed test. Just do your little thing on it.
Soon, each pilot begins to experience individual reactions. Shaking of the hands, bluing of the lips, nausea, visual impairment, mental confusion, and poor judgment. Symptoms that could lead the pilot into all sorts of trouble. From this experience, each glider pilot learns to recognize the symptoms in time to take immediate action.
Everybody else, just give me a thumbs up here while we're still here, and everybody's okay? Good stuff. All right.
Kevin's radio is malfunctioning, and he's unable to contact Calgary Terminal Control. His chances of making a record flight are over. Bruce receives radio approval to climb to 10,058 meters, or 33,000 feet. He's forced to wait at this altitude until 2 commercial jets pass above him. When final approval is granted to climb higher, Bruce finds the wave has weakened, and he too is forced to turn back. There will be no new records set this Thanksgiving weekend, but the challenge was there, and they'll be back next year, eager to set new records and to ride the mountain wave.